Come on, brother. Come on, brother. Oh, shit. Shit. Audio hardware. The device cannot be. Okay, buddy. Audio. Oh, it's using the freaking the webcam. Checking in now. Game 7. Will Satler alongside Isaac Bugarin. Not today. We got David, Hollywood, Vigil, and Luis Olivas. Let's go, Roadrunners. Checking in now. Game 7. Will Satler alongside Isaac Bugarin. Not today. Welcome into the Game 7 show. I'm your host, Will Satler, not alongside Isaac Bugarin today. On June 22nd, it is Monday in Denver, Colorado. I have David Hollywood Vigil in the studio alongside Luis Olivas, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, whatever you're watching on. We are live from Met Radio. How we doing, boys? How we doing?
We're doing great. We're living life.
We're living life
for the third podcast, you know?
Yeah, these guys jumped on at the last, all day, last, week and a half.
Late in bed.
Laid in bed, and they were like, you know what? I'm too scared to talk. I'm too scared. And then all of a sudden, they're like,
why not?
Full send. Let's freaking do this. So if you're wondering why Isaac's not here, he's in New York City. He abandoned us. He's too cool for us and didn't want to hop on today. So
he didn't invite us to the game.
He didn't invite us to New York City. He was seeing the Rockies. Yeah. He'll see them play in Washington tonight.
He's going to Washington, too?
Yeah, he's going to Washington to see them play against the Nats for the 3 games that they're out in Washington.
Wow.
And they're going to travel over to Cincinnati for 3 games where the Rockies are out there, see them play. And he said he might stop in St. Louis for a Cardinals game, Sunday Night Baseball. Cardinals-Cubs, Sunday Night Baseball,
pretty good.
That would be a game to see.
I got Cubs on that, though. Cardinals haven't been doing too hot lately.
They're not, but, right now they're ahead of the Rockies. So
that's true.
Everyone's ahead of them.
That's something we'll get into today on Game 7. But
Padres are
just to run through what Isaac usually does. I'm usually not the guy that breaks down everything. But if you don't like our takes, anything like that, send us an email, game7show@gmail.com. That's how you can send us emails. You can follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, whatever it might be. It's at Game7Show. On Twitter, we're at _Game7. I'm at Will Satler on Twitter. Isaac is at Isaac_Bugarin. Can we get some plugs for your Twitters over there, Luis? What's your Twitter?
It's just Luis Olivas 22. That's all it is.
Mine is David V. Vigil _.
Hollywood.
Right, so give them a follow.
Hit that line.
Don't hit that line, but follow them out. They got some good stuff, man. Just a little bit of background. Luis, you're gonna be a freshman here at MSU, right?
Yeah. Well, currently I am a freshman.
He's taking some summer classes, and then David is a JUCO product, Trinidad State.
JUCO product. I'm gonna be a sophomore at Trinidad State Junior College.
He's gonna transfer to
balling it up.
Old Miss or something like that.
Hopefully.
We got some questions and stuff today, different things that we'll talk about. A little bit of a different flow today just because it is a new crew essentially, but nonetheless we are live and we are here. That's what we like to do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. As always, we want guests on the show. We got 2 guests in the studio today, so
faces.
It's nice. This kind of hard. It's hard just doing a solo monologue.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for you. I was like, I better get on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's just like now I'm am I a little bit out of breath, but now I'm trying to think my next thought and I can't because I have to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to make up your own questions as you go.
Because usually right now I'm all right, let me plan for the next part. Let me get the music, and then Isaac just rambles or something. And if I try to do that now, you just hear this awkward silence of David and Luis just sitting there, licking their lips.
Yeah.
They're excited. No, they put it on their Snapchat stories and everything. You want to shout out your Instagrams or something like that?
It's the same thing as my Twitter. Or
I
actually,
don't even post on Instagram. So
you have no followers, bro.
I mean,
we shout out your Finstas.
I don't have a Finsta.
Well, you're slacking, bro. You're slacking.
Shit, I'll make one.
You gotta have a fun part too.
All right, man. Yeah. So let's jump straight into Broncos. A little bit of Broncos. I'm not a big Broncos guy. And that's more of Isaac's thing. So we'll just go a little bit of preview. I know these guys watch a little bit of football in their free time. So let's get a little Broncos hype, man. We are down the street from Mile High Stadium or Bronco Field or whatever.
3 different names in 3 different years.
I still call it Invesco Field.
Yeah, same. That's what I know best. Sports Authority, that was short. Now Mile High.
Yeah.
I'm not used to sports.
We like grew up though. That's like where we went.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to any games last year?
I didn't go to any games. I haven't been
Yeah.
at a game probably like 5-6 years.
I used to go when I was little, man. I used to have a John Lynch jersey.
John Lynch? Oh,
Yeah.
he was a stud.
That was my guy.
I went to the last game. If you guys know Hunter, he invited us to go. He had some extra tickets. Boosh. But yeah, it was a tough game. I think they played the Chargers that game.
Oh.
And they were already eliminated at this point. Vance Joseph was out the door.
Yeah.
Case Keenum was out the door. You know how
Yeah.
that goes. But yeah, it was just a whole different experience from like the years that they were winning with like John Fox and Gary
Peyton Manning.
Kubiak. Peyton Manning, right? Like,
Yep.
I think the last game I had went to before that, like regular season game, was Tim Tebow against the Chiefs. It was Tim Tebow versus Kyle Orton.
Oh.
Do you remember that game? That's a long time ago, but
Yeah, it is.
I just remember like I was like 350 level and just seeing Tebow or like pray on the sideline, and I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's pretty cool. So
My favorite memory of him was when we first made it to the playoffs with him, and the first drive in overtime.
the first drive in overtime.
against
The
Pittsburgh?
first.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Do you
First play.
yeah, I just remember like I was downstairs watching it, and like he threw it, and I literally ran up the stairs and ran like consistently
up and
back and
down.
forth, like, and then I like went around the house and like wrote on a piece of paper like
Yeah.
Tebow did this, and like put it on the second randomly. I was high, man. I was a big Tebow fan. I still am. Hopefully, he
He's
gets
in-
something going
he's doing
with
good in
the
baseball.
The baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
With the Mets, right?
Yeah. We
Is
should
he in
hit him
AAA
up.
yet?
I think he's no. There's no.
I seen him during spring training, man.
Oh, for real?
Max Scherzer
Oh yeah, he
destroyed him. Yeah.
I mean, Max Scherzer would do that to pretty much every hitter.
yeah.
I don't know many players in MLB like good hitters that don't.
Mike Trout.
I look up those stats right now.
Sometimes.
Look
What,
up the
Mike Trout
stats.
versus Max Scherzer?
Yeah, like baseballreference.com. You gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But onto the Broncos. I mean, we're talking baseball. We'll get into baseball later, but the biggest question I have for the Broncos right now is should we trust in Vic Fangio, the new head coach, straight from the defensive line of the Chicago Bears, who made a surprise appearance in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Should we trust him?
I trust him. Like, he went to the Bears. He was at the Bears,
Mhm.
and he made them a top defense.
I mean, they were the top
They-
defense
It was
last year.
mainly their players that they had. It wasn't really the coaching, you know.
Right, but like
Most-
other than Khalil Mack,
most of
who
their
on that
players-
Chicago defense have you heard of
Yeah, that's what I'm
before
saying.
last year?
That's true. Yeah.
Like I think Kareem Jackson was on that team.
We got one of their cornerbacks.
Cornerbacks, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool about what Vic has done. Like this is his first opportunity to coach, and he's taken all these players from what was successful in Chicago and
Yeah.
moved it over. But he leaves the question marks coming with this Broncos defense that was once one of the greatest defenses of all time, arguably when Super Bowl 50 came through.
So, yeah.
You have Chris Harris Jr., who just signed a one-year extension. That was a whole saga with John Elway. But it sounds like out of Broncos camp right now that there's a little bit of bad blood between Chris Harris Jr. and Vic Fangio. Do you think this is going to affect this defense at all, or you think Chris Harris is still going to be the best cornerback?
I think he's still
slot
going to do his
cornerback?
thing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you do your thing?
Right, and especially for him, like he was arguing that he should have got like a contract like a Kareem Jackson
Like a
got.
max contract, you're talking about?
Like well, not necessarily max because nothing's
Extension
guaranteed.
or
Well, he did get a one-year
yeah, he did.
extension, but it sounds like at this point Denver does not want to pay a 30-year-old cornerback, which is really interesting.
he's their best cornerback though.
Right, he's one of the best cornerbacks.
Probably Roby too.
Roby's pretty good, but
Yeah.
like he also is expiring, so they're staying really cheap on this defense.
Uh-huh. I thought he got
Um,
traded.
Roby,
Yeah.
He did.
I thought so too, but
I seen a rumor that he went somewhere else.
I think they're
haven't seen
thinking
any
about
news
moving him.
I haven't seen any news on it yet.
Yeah, I haven't been super into the Broncos this offseason because
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
went-
two years of like them not playing well.
Yeah.
You say he did get traded?
He went to the Texans.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Bradley Roby is no longer Bronco.
Yeah.
So this defense is going to look a lot different. I think one cog that will stay the same, specifically, is Von Miller, and he's the top 10 player in the NFL right
Bradley
now.
Chubb too.
And Bradley Chubb, but specifically Von Miller to start with. And in the opening interviews for Vic Fangio at Broncos training camp out at Dove Valley, asking for more of Von Miller. Is there any more of Von Miller that we can see? Is this the Von
I
Miller?
think-
Is he in his prime? Like,
No.
I think he proved enough, but I think he could still do better.
Right.
Especially with Vic Fangio coming in. Like, he's one of the top defensive coaches ever, and he's only going to make him better. So
I'm really interested to see what he's going to do with Bradley Chubb, like you said, and Von Miller on both sides.
Well,
like, they were deadly with DeMarcus Ware,
Yeah.
a very old DeMarcus Ware, and Von Miller.
Derek Wolfe too. They're
Wolfe.
pretty deadly with Derek Wolfe, but he's getting old
If
too.
he stays healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really is about staying healthy, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that's going to change is, like, beforehand, this Denver Broncos defense with Wade Phillips and such was really simple, right? You ran man-to-man, you ran a zone. It was really simple. But Vic Fangio likes to really, like, cover or disguise his coverages a lot. And so it's a much more complex defense. And I'm interested to see how some of these players react. And it's also interesting to see, like, all those players that were part of that Super Bowl 50 defense, like Malik Jackson and Brandon Marshall and all those people, they went other places and they've been successful. So you can't really say they were a part of a system. Like, they've had some good players. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do. Is Joe Flacco worth anybody's time right now? Is he just going to come in, play 4 games, be horrible, and then they go straight to Drew Lock? Or do you think he's going to be the Joe Flacco of old?
He says he still has some juice in him.
Yeah.
I mean, would you come up to this stadium and, like, you know what? I'm getting pretty old. I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, I mean, he's probably fronting, right? Like,
I think he'll do better than Case Keenum for sure.
I mean, we'll see in the preseason, obviously, but, like, I'm excited for Drew Lock, actually.
Yeah, I definitely am
I
too.
think he's a good quarterback.
They really got him in a steal in the second round for a guy that was
Yeah.
projected to probably be a top 10 pick.
Especially
Kind
in
of
the
just
first round,
slid all the way down to the second. And, like, that is one of those John Elway picks. Like, you're gonna remember that one. If this guy becomes good, like, he's gonna be good. I like the way, like, his head seems to be in the right spot. Whether he's got the skill yet or not, his head seems to be in the right spot. And it's not really a prototypical John Elway pick for a quarterback, right? He likes tall, strong-armed quarterbacks, a.k.a. Joe Flacco, Paxton Lynch, essentially.
Osweiler.
Yeah,
Osweiler's
Brock
huge.
Osweiler. He's huge. He was good when he was here.
Some big arms, too.
Right, but Drew Lock is not that guy, right? He's a, 6'2", 6'3", like,
Small guy.
smaller
For the
guy.
NFL,
I mean, he's small for a quarterback, right?
Yeah,
So, but he is mobile. That'll be interesting to see. And he didn't really play. Is Missouri, right? Or Mizzou.
Yeah, Mizzou.
Shout out Michael Porter Jr. But
he needs to get healthy, matter of fact.
yeah. Imagine if Michael Porter Jr. was a tight end, or he'd be a wide receiver, right? He's tall.
He would be a tall wide receiver.
That would be, and he could jump too.
Yeah.
I'm hyped for Michael Porter Jr. I don't know about you guys, but
Oh, I've been.
if he, like, goes off in his first month of the season, I'm 100% buying his jersey. Hopefully, he's just got to stay healthy. Is really the
that's what I'm
truth.
saying.
Like, he looks good in practice and stuff.
Yeah. In his videos
The
and
next
stuff.
Kevin Durant. What should we expect from the Broncos this year in a loaded AFC? I mean, you got the Browns, the Steelers, the Patriots are always going to be there. The Dolphins will probably be pretty good this year. The Colts are good. Everybody in the AFC West, even the Raiders are going to be good this year,
they're
right?
gonna be good with Antonio Brown.
Right. Like, who
Yeah.
are they going to be able to compete right now with what they have?
I've seen the schedule, and, you know, these teams are getting better and better. You talked about the Browns, but these experts on ESPN are talking like we're only going to win 3 games again, like 4 games.
Luis, I'd like to hear what you have to say about where you feel they'll sit, but
About Cleveland?
well, no, Denver.
No, Denver.
I think Cleveland's a playoff team. I think that they'll finally break the streak this year.
Well, what I know for sure is that I don't think they're winning the division this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're in a more comfortable spot now. They have like a veteran quarterback and not just like, you know.
Maybe they'll win the wild card, but I don't know.
well, yeah, and then they have to sneak in behind a lot of teams. So a lot of
Yeah,
things are going to have to go wrong for other teams for the Broncos to get in. I mean, just looking at their division, right, it's probably not going to happen. They have the MVP, one of the best quarterbacks we've seen
Patty
in the
Mahomes.
first 2 months or 2 years of a career,
Yeah.
Patty Mahomes. Tyreek Hill is going to play the whole year, sounds
Sure.
like. Their defense is still good. They didn't make any changes from a team that was an overtime away from going to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
The Chargers probably got better. I mean,
They have one of the best DBs, one of the rookie DBs they
right?
had.
They have a pretty good defense. They have a pretty good offense. They have good wideouts. Oakland got better. I mean, they were a rebuilding team last year,
Yeah.
but you really can't. Like, John Gruden and Derek Carr is just scary. And now to add Antonio Brown to that mix is like, whew, that team's going to be good.
They still have
Who's even their running back nowadays?
Marshawn Lynch retired, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
what was his name? I can't remember his name.
I forgot his name.
Well, clearly he's not very, like, I mean, he's probably good,
Probably all right,
but like, he's not anything that's going to transcend that team.
yeah.
And without Khalil Mack, they had so many draft picks. I'd be interested to see how
Wasn't
they
it
drafted.
Latavius Murray?
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
That's who it was.
So I'll be interested to see how the Raiders. I think Denver is right there with the Raiders. I think their ceiling is where the Chargers will end up, and their floor is probably the bottom of the division. I mean, there's a chance they could go 3-14, 3-13 or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that they could go 9-7. Like, there's a really good chance that this team can make some noise.
Yeah.
I don't think 9-7 is going to get you into the playoffs this year, unfortunately. So it'll be really interesting to see. But I think two players, and I wonder if you guys feel the same way, but Cortland Sutton and Phillip Lindsay, and I know Phillip Lindsay was a Pro Bowler last year, but I think they're going to have breakout years.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to get better for sure.
I mean, Cortland Sutton was a really good receiver, and he was catching balls from Case Keenum, right? So I'd be really interested to see him take a next step. And then Phillip Lindsay, right? There's rumors in camp that, Royce Freeman's going to start over him, all this, blah, blah, blah. Is he healthy? Is he big enough for the NFL? We've heard this time and time again about Phillip Lindsay, and time again, he's proved people wrong.
Yeah, he proved his point last year.
So I, for sure, am a Phillip Lindsay fan, not just because I'm from Denver, but because that guy works hard.
Yeah. Definitely coming from someone that didn't get drafted.
Exactly, and it's so surprising to think that was a Pro Bowler that didn't get drafted.
Yeah.
It never happens. So I expect, I
like Royce Freeman, honestly.
Yeah.
He gets the most yardage per carry for all their backs. I think he's a good third down
And
back.
he didn't really stay healthy last year either, too. So a full year of Royce Freeman healthy is going to be a very interesting two-man. And we really haven't had a running back duo or a good running back in Denver for how long?
Anderson.
Well, C.J. Anderson was good, but he wasn't consistently on the field.
Yeah, true.
And he was in an offense
really
with
good.
And he was in an offense with Peyton Manning
Yeah.
and Demaryius Thomas and Julius Thomas and Eric Decker.
Oh, Julius Thomas wasn't that great. He was a good catcher, but
he was
wasn't
good when
great
he was
at
in,
blocking.
I mean, he was good when he's in. Yeah, exactly. So there really hasn't been a good running back, and I think that might be a little bit of not necessarily a crutch, but a helping hand for the Broncos.
Yeah.
Like, if their quarterback, if they're not comfortable with Joe Flacco throwing the ball 40 times a night, then you know what? Let's hand the ball off a little bit more to Phillip Lindsay. And I think that was kind of the hit on the Broncos last year, right?
Yeah.
They had such a good running back in Phillip Lindsay. He was performing well, but they didn't really use him enough last year, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's arguably because they were behind in games early and they couldn't really run the football. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm more excited now than I was before the season last year to see.
Definitely.
I wasn't opposed to keeping Vance Joseph for another year because I think continuity with a coach is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
If you continuously fire a coach, you're not going to have consistency in an organization. So it's just I'm more excited for Broncos football than I have been in years past, and I think that's a good thing. I think that they're finally making a little bit of noise. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 3-13. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish 9-7.
You go either way.
Final predictions. What do you got? Their final record, Luis?
I'll go with 9-7.
9-7.
I'd say they win 6 games.
6 games.
There you go.
What is that? 6 and
6 and
10?
8 or 6 and
6 and 10.
6 and
Six-
no,
yeah,
6
6
and
and
10.
10.
And that's
I thought it was like 14.
6 and 14.
Games. Come on now.
Who knows? Maybe they'll play some extra games. Maybe they'll get like a tie in there, maybe against the Browns or something.
Yeah.
You love some ties.
Maybe
in
so.
football. But enough about football. Let's talk about what we're good at. We're all baseball players here.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir,
I'm pretty
yes,
good at
sir.
football. I've never played, but
Yeah,
David was
pretty
a
good at
slinger,
basketball.
right?
Yeah.
I
You're
suck
good
at
at
basketball,
basketball?
man.
Pretty
You're
good.
not a
suck.
basketball player?
I played, but I'm terrible.
Yeah, I
Mainly
remember
football
this.
and baseball.
Football and baseball?
Yeah.
Let's talk about baseball. This will be a very interesting take, especially without Isaac here. Where do the Rockies go now? 47-52. They're 5 games under 500. They're like 1,000 games back in the NL West of the Dodgers. They're now tied for last place with the Padres in the NL West. But on the flip side, they are 5 games back in the wild card of Milwaukee, who's in that second spot right now.
No, they're not that behind, but they need to figure out their hitting first.
Right.
Yeah.
So despite being tied with the Padres for last place in the NL West, like I said, they're just 5 games back. And there's 2 teams above them, Arizona and San Francisco, that they'll play many, many times to finish out the season. Tonight they're in Washington to face the Nationals, who are now currently the leaders in the wild card. They've been the best team since May 21st in the baseball. But they still trail teams like Washington. They trail Philadelphia, who's been getting hotter. St. Louis has been consistent enough to be in a playoff contention, and they have room to go up. I mean, you could even say that Milwaukee has the MVP. Arizona's good. San Francisco's good. But those are 6 teams ahead of the Rockies right now.
There's some
All
tough
within,
teams.
tough teams.
Tough teams to get ahead.
It's going to be hard to get ahead.
Yeah.
But this Rockies team is built to compete for the playoffs.
They're good enough.
They're good enough.
Yeah.
They were built to compete for an NL West. They were literally 1 game away last year.
Yeah.
They had to play an extra game. They brought back pretty much their core, added a couple players, lost a couple players. I mean, that's every offseason. But this team was built to win the NL West, and they've been there 2 years in a row. Not in the NL West, but to the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you look at the teams ahead of them, what of those teams other than Milwaukee have made the playoffs in the last 2 years? Arizona, barring Arizona in the wild card.
We should have beat Arizona last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Like these teams haven't played in these kind of games throughout the stretch run. So there's an argument to make that, like, as bad as this stretch straight before the All-Star game or All-Star break and a little bit after now, there is an argument to be made that this team is still in contention. As much as stuff has gone wrong for this team, they're 100% ready and right there.
They just need to get on a roll.
Right, exactly. This was the team that started the year 3-12 and lost 8 straight.
Yeah.
And then a month later, they won 10 in a row, and they were the best team in baseball.
That's how
right?
they are. They're
Yeah.
up and they're down.
Right.
That's
So
how Rockies always are.
if this team could find, and that's probably why you haven't heard them make like any big moves yet, right?
Yep.
Everything that they've tried, if it's worked, it's worked. They stuck with it. And like Brendan Rodgers, that was supposed to be a call-up that was make a big move. He gets destroys his shoulder. So, it'll be interesting to see, like, what do they do at the trade deadline? Do you guys have any ideas what they should do? What do you think?
Their bullpen's been, kind of giving up
Atrocious.
Yeah, they have.
like home runs in the 9th inning, giving away leads.
Yeah, usually when it's like the starter, example like someone like John Gray, he'll deal for like 6 or 7 innings, and then when they bring in like a closer, it just goes
to shit, right?
Yeah.
No, straight up. Like, John Gray has been the best pitcher for the Rockies this year.
Yeah.
We were there for the doubleheader on Monday, David, and we saw Herman Marquez with arguably his worst performances.
Yeah, usually,
baseball
usually
player.
He's good. He has a winning record.
Right, he's 9-5. He just won yesterday in New York, which is pretty good.
Yeah,
But he gave up
19
5 runs before he even got an out in the
yeah.
first inning, and didn't get out of the 3rd inning.
No.
The Rockies ended up losing that game 19-2, and then the next one 2-1.
The first game, actually, after they went through their bullpen, Mark Reynolds.
And that was the last time he's played.
Yeah.
In a Rockies uniform. They cut him yesterday.
Damn.
What was he batting? Like 120? 120?
Something like that. And he got the first hit in that game too, if I don't remember right.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good game, but
That's
I mean,
tragic.
he was not performing up to the standards of a team that needed to make the playoffs.
Getting old.
I mean, he's old. I think he's 2 home runs away from being the first or the fifth player in MLB history to hit over 200 home runs and never make an All-Star game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
know
pretty
that.
crazy.
That's not
That
the
is
record
crazy.
you want to have, honestly.
I know, and I mean, he's like the MLB record holder for strikeouts or something like that. Like, I remember his time in Baltimore where he just struck out all the time, and then he'd have a 3 home run game.
Wasn't he pretty good in St. Louis?
I don't know if he played in St. Louis.
He didn't really play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's bounced around, so
They mainly used Matt Carpenter at first, too.
right, and he's good. He was an MVP candidate last
Oh,
year,
yeah.
so I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see where they go. I mean, they didn't really need him because they have plenty. I mean, Garrett Hampson has been playing better, so there's your fit at second, and then Ryan McMahon can get more time at first when Daniel Murphy's not playing, who has been playing up to his contract at this point.
McMahon's a utility player. He can play anywhere.
Exactly.
We've seen him play third.
Right, exactly. Well, not that they need
Third,
him in
second.
third anytime soon. So I
Never.
think the biggest thing for this Rockies team is, like, they got to be healthy. They have not been consistently healthy throughout their lineup. Story got hurt when they were on a roll.
Yeah.
Murph got hurt at the beginning of the year before they got on a roll. Like,
Yeah, literally right away.
So that's definitely it. They need to figure out Kyle Freeland. He was okay in his first start back, best pitcher in that game, arguably. That was a 9 o'clock start game. But you can't really. If you're scheduled for a 6 o'clock start for your first game back and you end up pitching at 9 o'clock, like, that's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then to go to New York and play in a Little League park is probably pretty tough. Once he gets home and he gets more comfortable back at the big leagues, I expect him to come to form. I don't expect him to come back to Kyle Freeland form this year. But if he can get back to semi-okay form, right, they'll be okay. That's 3 good starters that can get you into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You win 3 out of 5 games, you were going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. How many games did he play in AAA while he was down there?
I want to say 6 or 7, and he had maybe 1.5 good starts down there. but it was more about like learning what he needed to fix, right? So when he went down with the blister on his hand, he tried to change some mechanics in his windup, and it messed everything up. He lost all location. And I think the biggest key that you can tell that something's wrong with him is his walks and his strikeouts are up. He was never a strikeout pitcher, and he was never a guy that walked. He pitched to contact. That's how we found out about him when he was, I mean, you really, like, we knew he broke out beforehand, but the world really learned about him against the Cubs in that wild card game last year, right?
Yeah.
He was our best pitcher the whole year.
So, and what did he do in that game? He pitched to contact in a pitcher-friendly park.
He got outs.
And he got outs, exactly. So, that's not what he's doing right now, and I don't know what he needs to do to get back to that. But if he does, like, this team is arguably the best team. Of all 6 teams that I just listed, as more talented as Philadelphia probably is, as deeper as St. Louis is, I would pick the Rockies 100% to come back. They're all within 5 games. One of these teams is going to fall out of contention completely in the next week. It's probably going to be a 3 or 4 team race going into September.
It's always tight.
It's going to be tight.
Yeah.
But that's okay because this team is built for this, and they've done it.
Yeah.
They did it last year. I mean, how many times last year did we say this season is over? There's no way they're going to make the playoffs.
A lot.
I mean, when they got swept in LA and they gave up like three walk-offs last year, we were like, the season's over. There's no way. There's like a 0% chance they can do it. And they came back and won like 8 of 10.
Didn't they do that this year too?
Well, get walked off on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Walked off like 5 times
off of 3 rookies in LA.
Back to back games in LA. 3 different rookies. It went Matt Beatty, Alex Verdugo, and Will Smith hit back to back.
He's been good.
Verdugo is a beast.
Verdugo is arguably the rookie of the year in the NL right now.
I still got what's his name? Fernando Tatis. Well,
I mean,
he's
arguably Verdugo has been one of the best players on. Obviously, Bellinger's the best player on that team right now.
Yeah.
Ryu is a Cy Young candidate. But Verdugo has been one of their best players, and he's a rookie.
Yeah.
So Tatis has been good. Don't get me wrong, but the Padres are tied for last place in the NL West. They're not 60 games ahead. So that's a good argument. I think Tatis and Verdugo are arguably, and there'll probably be some Cardinals rookie that'll sneak in there. And then the AL, like, that's a pretty wide open race right now. I know Austin Meadows is a name that comes up. Chavis for the Reds, I think it is. The Red Sox. Is pretty good.
What about Pete Alonso?
Pete Alonso, I mean, he's technically a rookie, right?
Yeah, he is.
So, I mean, that's your 3 people right there that could really make a name. And before the season, right, it was Fernando Tatis Jr. and Vlad Guerrero Jr. in the East. That was your picks. And I wouldn't say Vlad's the rookie of the year over there.
Not yet. I wouldn't think so.
No.
And he's got to
brings the most
put on the show.
excitement, but he definitely hasn't.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just wins because of his name. But unfortunately, his stats don't really. MVP-wise, if you had to pick an MVP right now in the NL.
Bellinger.
For
sure.
You wouldn't take Yelich, even though his stats are technically better.
I'd take Yelich, man.
Bellinger's been crazy hot hitting home runs.
Right. He's
almost.
I mean, but they're neck and neck, right? Their stats are almost statistically exact.
I got Yelich back to back.
But it seems like Bellinger's hitting home runs like every night.
Right. You really don't hear about Yelich, and I think that has a little bit to do with where they play, right? Yeah. Bellinger is in LA. I think the thing that will set them apart is the fact that the Dodgers are the best team in baseball right now.
Yes.
And Yelich is fighting for a second wild card spot. That tells you a little bit about the team that they're on, but the argument comes to say, like, if you aren't winning, how could you be valuable to your team, essentially? And then in the AL, like, last year was a good race. Who is your AL MVP right now?
What would be yours?
I mean, the easy pick here is Mike Trout, right? He's good every year.
He's always hot. On the top.
He's always good. A sleeper pick is in New York. DJ LeMahieu, an old friend.
Oh yeah, DJ LeMahieu.
He's having a pretty good year, and he's the reason why, like, arguably the Yankees are the best. They are the best team in the East right now.
Ottavino too. He's having a good year there.
Ottavino's having a good year. It's not an MVP year, but definitely doing okay in a bullpen that is extremely loaded. That Yankees team is extremely.
They got all the pitching you need.
But definitely DJ's
a candidate, and if he had to do one more, like, I mean, if the Angels make the playoffs, I think Mike Trout wins it. But one more, like, you could look at someone on the Rays. I mean, they don't really have any big names.
I haven't really heard much of the Rays.
Right, and they're right up there. I mean, The A's are in a wild card spot. I mean, the Astros are probably the next team you look for. Like, who is gonna? Bregman is probably the name that comes to mind.
Yeah, he's been pretty hot.
I haven't heard much about Altuve.
Me either.
Right. Well, they've been hurt. That's the one thing about the Astros is they've had a lot of injuries with their star players. Correa hasn't really played this year. So, if I had to pick today, Bellinger in the West, and then out east in the AL, I would probably go Mike Trout today, just because the Angels are playing so well. But if they don't make the playoffs, I think it goes to DJ. But
East and West? What are you talking about?
You know what I meant. AL and NL. Same thing. I mean, in the West, technically the AL would be the West since the Angels are in the West.
Who's winning Cy Young?
Yeah. For NL, Scherzer.
He won it last year.
Yeah.
Verlander
is probably going to win it in the AL.
You know who's a sleeper? Luis Castillo.
Exactly. So Luis Castillo, that's a red. He's in Cincinnati, right? He pitched in the All-Star game.
Filthy changeup, man. Probably the nastiest changeup I've ever seen.
He's pretty good. I mean, again, the argument goes, like, who is he? He plays in Cincinnati. You don't hear much about him. That's part of the game, and that's part of the reason why Nolan Arenado has not won an MVP, despite being the best statistical third baseman in baseball history.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever happened to Felix Hernandez?
Oh, man. He got old.
He's old. He's just, like, he's in Seattle. He plays
He got taken off the starting, what's it called?
He was good.
The starting rotation.
Didn't he have like a heavy slider or something like that?
He was good.
He just
changeup
looked like
too.
he threw really
he threw
heavy
hard
pitches.
He didn't really throw that hard.
Could you see someone in a bullpen winning a Cy Young this year? I mean, who would you?
That never happens.
Right, exactly. Could you see it happening this year? Like a Aroldis Chapman or something wins it.
I think he only has a fastball and
a slider,
pitch.
dude.
Man.
I mean, that you throw 105 and then you break it off with 85 slider.
I think
he doesn't even throw 105 anymore. He's only topping out 100 now.
That's totally fine. That's still 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to gear up for his fastball no matter what, and then he drops off a slider and you're like,
I think mostly he's just a get and out guy, but maybe he's a strikeout guy here and there.
Yeah, no,
just because of his fastball.
I mean, I could see that.
Kyle Freeland. What was I
Kyle Freeland's in Cy Young.
No.
Kyle Hendricks? No.
What's that Dodgers name? I keep forgetting his name.
Hyun-Jin Ryu?
That rookie sensation.
Oh, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler's had a good year, arguably. I think he's not even I think he's probably still the third best pitcher on their team, which says a lot about the Dodgers. But I mean, he's gonna be good in the future.
Pitcher.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Justin Verlander. Interesting stat
here. Young Justin Verlander.
Interesting stat, yeah. Justin Verlander, I think he leads the AL in ERA. He also leads the AL in home runs allowed, which is a very interesting stat. I'd like to get you guys a thought. Do you think the ball is juiced?
Yes.
Perhaps,
I think so.
Perhaps.
I mean, look at the London series.
There's been the most home runs in history this year.
Right.
Is that what they're saying?
And it's also the best pitching, too.
Exactly. So there's got to be something going on behind the scenes. If this comes out that the balls are juiced, do you think they do anything about it?
No.
I mean,
brings in more entertainment. More fans.
They're making that roll up, or what is it? Bringing the mound.
Bringing the mound down. Yeah, remember a couple years ago,
6 feet.
They were making the argument like it felt like every year was
stupid. They shouldn't do it.
Yeah, it felt like every year it was here's the pitcher. They're too good now, and then all of a sudden the hitters are here. So
if they're gonna move it back by like 6 feet, they're gonna hurt the pitcher's arms because they're gonna try their best to get in there as quickly as possible.
If anything, they'll move it closer, or like lower it by.
Why would they move it closer? Hitting a baseball is just hard enough. It's already hard enough.
Exactly, but with the way that hitters are hitting right now, like, where's the balance? So, they should bring in BB core bats, is what I think.
How much time do you think a pitcher would have to get out of the way if it was moved closer?
There's no that really is a good argument for that, right?
Yeah.
If you move the mound closer, you're putting pitchers' lives at risk.
You gotta think about safety too.
Exactly, and same thing goes for the hitters, right? They have less time to react, ball in, and they have less time to turn their face out of the way.
Especially at third base.
Yeah. What do you think about the rule of pass ball on any count and still in first base?
Oh, that's so stupid. I've seen it in the Atlanta League.
It never happened.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome that they're trying out rules like that.
Yeah, but nothing like that.
That one isn't gonna work. That's just like going away from everything that's been baseball for hundreds of years, right?
That's not the game.
Stealing first base, that's something you never hear.
Would you, if it was allowed, would you do it?
No.
Like,
no,
if they
no.
made the rule and you're like, you're playing baseball,
No.
JUCO baseball.
No, you
or
want to
you're
hit. You
playing-
don't want to
Yeah.
still, you know.
But it's the 19th inning. Your team is down
It's-
one
well,
in the
maybe.
championship game.
It's just as bad as striking out on a pass ball and reaching first.
I mean, you're still on base. I know it sucks.
Yeah, but would you want that stat?
If I got on first base, I struck out on a pass ball, drop third strike, get on first base, and I win the game for my team. Sure, give me a backwards K. I don't care. Like,
What would you even call that? Like,
what?
if you throw a wild pitch
That wouldn't be a
and-
backwards K.
and someone steals
What-
first base.
Maybe if the catcher just completely drops it. If it's right down the
Oh,
middle,
yeah,
he just
yeah.
goes through his glove and like over his chest protector and
Yeah.
then to third base.
So if you did a wild pitch and he stole first base, would that count as a? Would they do errors?
What would
for
that
a
count
pitcher?
as?
Would that count as an
like
error?
what they have now or what they have, what the new rule is.
New rule.
I think the new rule would go. I don't know how they score that. That's a good question.
Me either.
I think it would be
I think I just
a stolen base, but then what would it count for, like batting average, right? Because you have to
Just
have
on base percentage.
Like,
yeah. Is it just
what would-
count as a walk essentially?
yeah, what would your at bat count as? That's
Maybe
that's the
it-
question.
maybe a
Does it
stolen
count?
base, but
That's
pretty
interesting.
sure.
And that's another reason why that probably won't stick.
Yeah.
Robot umpires. Are we into that or
Keep it
keep it human?
yeah,
Keep it real.
Keep it,
Yeah,
You agree with that, David?
I'd
You
agree
don't
with
want-
that.
Even though you've been punched out like 12 times on balls in the other batter's box.
Yeah.
You would do it, Sam? I think I'm still with that. Like, that's part of all sports, right? You have that human
Mhm.
error.
Arguing is
I
a
mean,
big part about
I
baseball.
mean, some savages in the box, right? Like,
yeah.
without that, you don't have that kind of content, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
as much as it sucks that you're getting these horrible calls, right? Maybe it's less about those robot umpires and more about managing the talent of umpires
Yeah.
coming in, right? There are plenty of good umpires out there.
Yeah.
You gotta think about it. Umpiring is really hard.
Yeah. Especially, like,
I think
I
you
can't
gotta-
even imagine trying to stand behind a catcher when there's a 100-mile-per-hour fastball
And
coming.
you're trained
and
to
you have, like,
you have to
half
sit
an
still.
inch.
You can't blink. You have to sit still. You can't react to the ball, or else you're gonna make the wrong call.
Exactly.
I mean, if it could go both ways too. Like if you're pitching and you get a good or a bad call on the hitter and you strike him out, I mean, it's baseball.
I
Like,
think that's a good argument, and to think like baseball is one of those sports that the human error doesn't really change the game.
yeah.
I could argue that robot referees for like a football game would make sense, right? Like,
Mhm.
was he
Yeah.
inbounds? Was he out of bounds? Was that pass interference? Like, I know that's a judgment call, but that eliminates that. I mean, as much as you want to say that the Saints and the Rams last year, that game
yeah.
changed on that pass interference call. Yes, the
Mhm.
Saints had many opportunities to win that game, but if there's a robot referee, right, they call it pass interference, and the Saints are going to the Super Bowl, and they probably put up a better fight than the Rams did. So
Mhm.
it's interesting to see. As just a little close on the Rockies here, they have no reason to sell right now. They're in their window. I know it's probably short, but they're in their window. If they had to sell, they're gonna have to sell. Like, they got to get rid of their bad contracts, right? We've heard about these bad contracts. If they can get rid of Ian Desmond, I mean, as bad as he had been the last 2 years,
Man.
he's been pretty good this year.
I'm pretty
And
sure.
he's a
no,
veteran
no.
presence in the
Yeah.
locker room, and he can play anywhere on the field. He might DH in the AL. He could pinch run. Like, he's a good pickup. I mean, it's not a rental. He's got another year on his contract. But, and then, like, bullpen pieces, as bad as the bullpen's been, like, Wade Davis and
needs to
Brian
step
Shaw
up.
have been good,
Mhm.
right? So, in the past. So, if there's something like maybe the Yankees trade for Wade Davis or whatever, like, that's a way to shell out those contracts and kind of rebuild. So I could see them making moves like that, but they have 8 days. It's the 31st is when they'll have their final decision.
Yeah.
No waivers, no trades after that day. It's a hard deadline. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's way too early, and that's
Mhm.
crazy to say 8 days before a deadline, but.
Yeah.
This road trip, how it finishes up, is really going to have a lot to do with it. Arguably, 1 game out of 3 in New York against the best team in baseball, arguably the Yankees, is a good thing, right? They competed against that Yankees team.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised we won at least.
They won a game, against James Paxton, who has been
Mhm.
one of their best starters. So you really can't gauge this team right now, and that's the worst part. wouldn't be surprised if they don't make any moves, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and trade for Marcus Stroman. So,
you big Marcus Stroman man.
I am a big Marcus Stroman man.
Yeah, I'm a big
we have
fan.
some fan questions coming up.
He's
Someone
good.
asked that, so we'll talk about that.
Stromo.
Stromeister.
Yeah.
But as much has gone wrong, this is the final thought on this. As much as has gone wrong for the Rockies this year, they are still in contention, and a lot could go right in the next 2 months.
Yep.
So there is a good chance they can make the playoffs. I've been like super optimistic on the Rockies. This is probably the most optimistic I can be right now, right? They've lost 9 of their last 14 or something like that.
Like 2-8 in their last 10 that we checked at the game.
Exactly. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what they got to do. And let's skip right over into questions. The first question comes from Braden Rizai. We both played with him.
It's the boy, Rizai.
Shout out Rizai.
Bezo.
He asked, should the Rockies trade for Marcus Stroman, and who would they trade if they do so? First off, guys, do you believe that the Rockies should trade for a guy like
I
Marcus
feel like we
Stroman?
need a new starter, like a
Need
better
another ace.
starter.
You need
Yeah,
another
ace. And I've always thought Marcus Stroman has been an ace. I am a big fan of Marcus, but he's got the stuff for it, and he's got the stuff. He's a ground ball pitcher. He would work well in Coors.
He has some good stuff.
There's an
Yeah.
extra year of team control, so if they traded for him, they would have him for next year, a chance to sign him to an extension or whatever. I'm sure he'd love Colorado. I know he's a big New York guy, but he would probably like Colorado. He would fit in well with his team. Now the question goes, who would they give up to get him?
Kyle Freeland.
Wow.
And maybe Wade Davis. I'd do the
Really?
trade. I'd do the trade.
Really.
But if you're the Blue Jays, would you trade like Marcus Stroman straight up for Kyle Freeland? I don't think that's
I
ever
feel
gonna
like
happen.
they would want a lot for
Yeah.
Marcus Stroman.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes. The argument you could make is the Blue Jays and the Rockies have made many deals beforehand. They've traded Troy Tulowitzki, that giant trade.
that's my dog.
The Sejuan O trade that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Those are both 2 good trades. Man, Mike Stroman for Kyle Freeland. I don't think the Rockies would part ways with Kyle Freeland as bad as he's been this year.
Maybe wait.
It's not the NBA. It's the MLB. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
You got to think prospects. I don't think they would trade any like MLB ready players right now if you're the Rockies, just because you are in contention, right?
Yeah.
So Brendan Rodgers is off the table. He's injured.
Yeah.
That really leaves you to like, what do you have pitching wise? Peter Lambert's in the big leagues. I think he's going to be here to stay. You think about Riley Pint. You think about Ryan Rollison. Shout out Ole Miss. So they have some pitching prospects, but if they get rid of those guys, then they have no farm system for a year and a half of control on a guy that could walk. Who most likely will walk to like a New York. So that's a trade that I would love to see. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think.
I would buy a Marcus Stroman jersey. I would be at his first game in Colorado. Like, I'd support that. But
That'll be a sellout.
There'll
yeah,
be a lot of
probably.
fans at
I mean,
Park for sure.
it just doesn't seem like a move that Dick Monfort and the Rockies organization would make when they spend more money on the rooftop than they do on players. Especially after signing Nolan Arenado to an extension, Herman Marquez to an extension. They'll have to sign Trevor Story soon to an extension.
You think it's leaving for
David
years?
Dahl. Charlie Blackmon's on an extension, but David Dahl. I didn't even mention Kyle Freeland has not signed an extension yet. I mean, before the season, remember, we were arguing like Kyle Freeland deserves what Aaron Nola just got in Philly. But now, would you pay him, 5 years, $100 million or whatever it is?
No, no.
Not right now, right? Like, so that's it. It's interesting to see. So that was one of our only sports questions from the questions, which is totally okay because, this is a different show. We can talk a little bit more loose about life and
Everything,
stuff.
I
So Luis has a question that he asked.
What's that?
What's your beard routine?
My beard routine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big beard guy.
Yeah.
We really wanted to
The
hear
chops,
what
baby.
David's was. We bring back the chops. David's, but he doesn't grow facial
Sometimes I
hair.
grow it out, but
It's
I
hard.
just don't dig it.
It works for certain people. I don't like I love the clean shaven look, but it doesn't work for my face. Just the shape of my face.
Oh, when I shaved, man, I hated it. I look like a baby.
yeah.
So I just keep it.
I don't
So,
think I do.
I just have to make sure, you have to make this stay in an in-between phase. So it's at a pretty good phase now. I'd probably like it a little shorter. But the longer it gets, the curlier it gets and the thicker it
think-
gets. So then it gets kind of gross and
Yours
itchy.
goes fast.
Yeah,
I think
really fast.
I think the problem that me and you both have on beards is the chin.
The chin. I cannot grow on the chin right
I could
there
grow on
for
the
whatever
chin, but it's just the middle where
The
it's-
middle?
Yeah.
And then you got to make sure, beard routine, you got to make sure there's no neck beard. You got to find a spot that you can clean up.
Yeah.
Otherwise it looks kind of raunchy.
Looks gross.
Not necessarily a chin strap, but making sure you're cleaning up here so you don't get like the patches and then.
Yeah.
I've never been able to grow a mustache, so
That's all me.
maybe
Never
one
shave
day.
your mustache?
I always do
Oh.
because it just doesn't look good. It's patchy and stuff. So
Pedophile stash.
really, the truth is, to the beard, like keeping
got
it
yours
short, and keeping it short, like. I do have like a beard wash that you use occasionally, but I only use it like when my beard is like really long. So I don't really have any special tricks to it. It's just kind of grow it.
Doing his own thing.
We'll see in 5 years how long it is. Maybe I'll have a Charlie Blackmon beard, but we'll grow out the playoff beard. I always loved the playoff beard. No shave November probably ain't gonna happen.
You gotta
Work for Sada.
you gotta grow out the mullet too.
The mullet, my hair is so gross when it gets
I don't think
long.
you would not look good with the mullet.
I used to sophomore year
I
of
could
high
grow-
school.
I could
tried
grow
to
a
it
curly ass mullet.
I can't see
I
myself.
tried to curl my hair like when I was like a sophomore. I tried to grow it long because my hair gets curly when it's long, and it just didn't work out. I was a weirdo trying to. Like, I had like 3 strands of hair like curling it in the back. It was not a good look.
Flinger.
Yeah, shout out Fling. Ben Cloutier, Boulder, Colorado asked, "How do you successfully
Bucks?
shoot your shot?" Do you guys have any tips on that?
go.
David, you're a
I
big
wish,
shooter.
no. I wish Ben was here to say it.
You know what? I've asked him so many times to get on the show. Hopefully, this maybe asking him some questions, he'll finally hop on. But you know,
What would you do?
How to successfully shoot your
Yeah,
shot?
what would you do?
Well, you got to be a gentleman, man. Like that's the truth. Like I know nice guys finish last, but nobody wants an asshole, right? You got to just be your best you,
Just
essentially.
be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself, right?
Yeah,
If
everyone's
it-
different.
Everyone's different. Everybody's into different things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like be your best you and just be straight up. Like, hey, you're cute. Let's hang out.
What are your
sometime.
intentions with him?
Yeah,
What-
exactly. Be straight up with the tensions. Like,
Yeah.
we're all young here, right? Even you're 18 now.
Yeah.
You're 18.
Just turned 19.
Just turned 19. I got
Yeah.
another half a year. Ben's 19. So
Mhm.
we're young. And we're not, even though he's got a wife already. Interesting he's asking that question. Sticking with Ben's questions, he listed 4 questions for us here. We've talked a little bit about these, but he asked, technically, didn't J. Cole have a feature on 2014 Forest Hills Drive when he had George Bush appear on No Role Models? Luis says, no, it's just a snippet. David, do you agree with that?
I agree with it.
I agree. If it was more than that.
But it doesn't say featuring George Bush.
Right. So I think
didn't-
that's where it
didn't
counts as
give-
not a
yeah.
feature.
He didn't give George
But,
Bush the credit.
But I mean, you could argue that like that song is powerful with George Bush in there. Like that,
Yeah.
it's kind of like in God's Plan when it says, "I love my bed and my mama. I'm sorry." But
I mean,
like-
some songs have features, but they're never like
Yeah.
The whole
on
Astro World.
on the song.
right,
Yeah, they don't. I know Travis Scott didn't put the feature for a reason because everyone was gonna go to sicko mode because Drake's on it.
exactly. Which that was a pleasant surprise.
He
getting
wanted
that
all. He
song.
wanted all.
I was
his
like,
songs to be
Stargazing,
streamed.
Yeah.
best song on the album, and I'm like, okay, so that was pretty nice. And then Sicko Mode, like I went crazy when I heard that. That was
Everyone went
that came out like in the next couple of weeks, I think. I think
Yeah.
it came out like the first week of semester because I literally every time I hear that album, I think of the school just because
They
that's
got
what I
old.
listen
They got
to.
old pretty fast.
Yeah,
it
everyone
died out.
Everybody played it.
too much.
Um,
Hang on. What's that one song I'm trying to think of?
Stargazing.
No, not
Who, what, where,
Stargazing.
and why.
Other
Who's to
song everyone was playing.
Fornication.
Well, Mobamba. Just kidding.
Mobamba.
Yosemite.
Yosemite's a good song, man. We'll break it down a little bit later, but
Alright.
is the grass always greener on the other side? From Ben.
We talked about this. Yeah.
You think so?
always.
Grass isn't always greener, man.
I mean, it.
depends
always-
on where you're at.
You
Yeah,
always
where
gotta
you-
think on the bright side.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, like if you have a good thing that's treating you well, it's green, right?
Yeah.
So it's not always greener on the other side. Just because you see someone else doing something doesn't mean it's greener. So that's kind of like a maybe, essentially, right? It's like yes, it
Go
is
both
greener,
ways.
but it's also green where you have it, right? It's
Yeah.
green. I think the most powerful quote of that is it's green where you water it, right? Wherever you take care of your grass is going to be better, whether it's with someone else on that side of the fence or whatever. So that was pretty deep right there.
Yeah.
Does the girl or the boy put you in the friend zone, or do you put yourself in the friend zone when you act like a friend to them? You're pretty good at the friend zone. What do you have to say?
Who, me? Luis has something to say about this. You got it.
Luis,
What?
you're in the friend zone?
No, I'm not in the friend zone. I actually have a girlfriend.
Shout out.
I don't know.
What I say is, if you're making yourself as a friend, you're putting yourself in the friend zone
That's a good point.
because you have no intentions with the person.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like You gotta start with it right away.
Start
Like
with
if
it.
you just talk like a friend, she's gonna act like a friend to you.
Follow-up question: is there any way to get out of the friend zone? I'm asking for a friend here.
There's a way to get out.
I don't know.
I think there's always a possibility.
Yeah, true.
Always.
Does the friend zone even exist? Do you believe it? Friend zone, brother zone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna name any names out, but I've seen it.
don't expose Chase like that, man.
Oh, yo.
Best album of 2019 so far. You guys say you were not big 2019 people, but if you had to pick one, like you were forced, there's a gun outside that door right now, held to your head.
Do you know any 2019 albums? Because I don't. Try to name me some out.
My top one would probably be Free Spirit by Khalid, just because I'm a big Khalid
He's a big
fan.
Khalid guy,
I'm a
yeah.
big Khalid guy.
Big Khaled.
Khalid, yeah, shout out Khalid. I think we're still waiting
I
on
don't
what
even know.
albums are coming, right? Dreamville was pretty good, but there's like 4 or 5 songs on
Yeah.
Revenge of the Dreamers
That's
that I
like
like.
that's an EP.
Yeah. Do you know what EP stands for?
No.
Extended playlist.
Oh, I thought it was like exclusive playlist, but
Probably whatever you want it to
Yeah.
be. I don't know, man. Like, this hasn't been we missed Summer 16, really, but
yeah. We're still waiting on Eternal Intake, and
yeah. Logic has dropped a couple albums, but he hasn't really been.
Who?
Logic.
Who?
Bobby Tarantino.
Who's Logic?
Kanye hasn't dropped anything. Like, I mean, this really hasn't been a good year.
Yandi. Where's Yandi?
Yandi. He
Yachty?
could drop that soon, man. Like, who knows if like this is. Maybe it's gonna be the winter.
Chance the Rapper's dropping something soon, but I doubt anyone will listen to that.
Right. I don't know if it'll be anything special. We haven't had any
He has a
Big
heat
Sean
song.
in a
He has
while.
heat freestyle with Lil Yachty.
We're still waiting on Drake for a new album. Like,
For the Toronto Raptors.
yeah. Well, that was his 2 singles. So, I don't know. Best album, I would say Free Spirit, just because that's who I like. But you had one for.
I just add whatever I like,
I
whatever
know.
I like to my playlist. I don't add like albums.
I'm with you
I'm
with
not
that.
a big album
I
listener.
know.
I've been more of a single guy lately.
Yeah.
I have a
Like,
lot of-
both in relationships and in music.
I have a lot of Puerto Rican albums.
You like Mexican
I like
music?
Mexican music.
That's
You
not.
do.
That's what I pump to when I'm working out. It's Mexican music.
It's not Mexican. Is that what you're saying?
It's Puerto Rican.
My bad.
Or-
Yeah.
That's my bad. I'm white.
Yeah, you are.
Question from Tyson Chacon, Fort Collins, Colorado. Must suck to be a Ram.
Foco.
How do you get girls so easily? I think that one was for you, David.
How do I get girls easily?
Because he's Hollywood.
I mean, one's probably being a college athlete. I mean,
Alright.
girls like athletes. I don't know. They like.
They're like athletes,
I
man.
don't know.
All right, that's a
They
good
like
one.
personalities, like good personalities.
You just got to be cool with it, man. You just got to be a cool guy. I think that's really
Yeah.
what it is. Checking in a couple more questions. Let's see here. They're not loading. Oh, Hurricane. You remember Hurricane Howell? You guys remember that guy?
Mm-mm.
He asked, "What's for dinner? What's for dinner tonight, guys?"
Whatever my
Uh,
mom makes, man.
Your mom's cooking
I'm eating
tonight.
healthy, you know.
You're eating healthy. Dave's a healthy
Yeah.
guy. He gets
I've-
grilled chicken nuggets at Chick-fil-A.
Oh, I've
Nah, dude.
actually, to an extent,
With no
stopped
sauce.
eating beef.
Really?
Just all chicken.
All chicken breast and rice.
Chicken's
and
fire, man.
All right, guys. You guys are healthy.
What about you?
Where
McDonald's or what?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not eating McDonald's. I'm eating whatever mom makes. Maybe I'll eat I had a salad for dinner last night. Chicken salad. Had some chickens.
You just
Yeah.
find whatever.
Yeah. I just eat what I need to eat. I
Yeah.
have that luck. I have horrible metabolism, but who's winning their division in the AFC? So if you go from the AFC North, really your contenders are the Browns and the Steelers.
Steelers.
I think Steelers are gonna win it.
Steelers-
But Browns are
I'll-
gonna compete for that.
They're going to
spot.
compete. I'll say the Browns just to be an argument's sake. That's but like
have a lot
either
of
way.
hype.
I mean, the
Those two.
Steelers don't have Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown anymore.
They have Juju.
They have Juju. They have
Still have Roethlisberger.
Connor, the running back James
yeah.
Conner. So
They'll
they'll be all right.
Their defense is pretty good.
The AFC East. This one's pretty easy.
Yeah,
Patriots.
The Patriots. I think we'll see if someone make a run for their money, but I
How
still
many
think the
consecutive years
Patriots,
have they won it?
a lot.
I just want to
Almost-
see.
almost
I just
20.
want to see Gronk healthy a full.
Well,
a full-
Gronk
full
retired,
season.
Yeah, he
man.
retired, bro.
Oh shit.
Gronk retired.
I'm
AFC West. Who do you have in the AFC West?
Chiefs still.
The
They're
Chiefs.
still number one.
Yeah.
It's them or the Chargers, obviously.
I could argue the Chargers could make a run, but you're really
Chiefs
safe pick.
has more of
is-
the star power on the roster.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it's the Atlantic or the what's A stand for?
A?
Yeah.
American.
American
Yeah.
8.
And the National.
Division.
American football.
American Football Conference.
Yeah.
No,
National Football
well, that's the
Conference.
AFC, but there's like 4 divisions, right?
Yeah.
Who's your 2 wild cards right now? Atlantic.
Atlantic.
I don't know.
AFC.
I mean,
That's tough. I haven't.
depends on who you have winning the divisions, right?
Yeah.
So if the Steelers win the
I think
division,
the
I think the
Chargers-
Browns. And I
Chargers
think one
won.
team from the West and one team
Chargers
from the East.
and
Other than Central.
I'd have to see, but Chargers are definitely, I think, on my spot for
On the list.
one of the 2.
What do you got, Luis?
I don't know.
You don't know. It's all right, man. It's really early. We haven't even had a postseason or
Yeah, we-
preseason. game.
Between Chargers and Raiders, probably.
Yeah, the Raiders could make a run for it. I mean, they're
Yeah.
stacked. So, and the last question I have here: who's your top 3 seeds in the NBA for next year's playoffs, both East and West?
For first go West.
Yeah, let's go West first. Top 3 seeds. I have a pretty good list for these.
It's pretty stacked on the top.
Yeah,
And
the West is
packed.
nice.
Yeah.
I could probably,
You could switch them around anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Top.
if
top
I
5.
had to choose today, with no hometown bias, the Clippers are the best team, then the Nuggets and the Lakers.
Yeah, Nuggets are number 2 for sure. You think
I got Nuggets
Clippers
too.
are already number 1 just adding Kawhi and
Kawhi's good.
PG.
Paul George without Russell Westbrook is gonna be good. Montrezl Harrell is a great piece on that team.
They have Lou Williams too.
Lou Will off the bench, like that team has
That'd be a good
so
bench.
much scoring. Like
So does Lakers. They have a good bench too.
the Lakers have a pretty good bench. Anthony Davis and LeBron are gonna be good. LeBron's getting old, so we'll see.
Still
I think he'll be
playing
in
like his
MVP
prime.
running.
We'll
It's
see if
LeBron.
Kuzma's still good.
Kuzma, there's been a lot of Kuzma slander lately. So.
Yeah.
But what do you guys have? Top 3.
Um,
You said Houston, didn't you?
I did say Houston.
You think Houston with Russell Westbrook now?
Well,
I
I think
mean,
Houston's a 4 seed. Denver's gonna be
a 2.
Denver's a 2. 1, I would go with. Yeah, I think I'll go to Clippers.
Yeah.
It's
No
either
more.
Denver or Clippers are number 1.
Yeah.
No more Golden State.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State's
I
an
think
8
Golden
or
State's a
close.
4.
7 or 8. 7 or 8.
4
They're
or
at the
5.
bottom.
You never know.
I don't know how
5.
D'Lo and Curry, but who knows? Maybe they'll. I mean, they surprised everybody that year. They went 73-9, right?
I think they're a good 5 spot.
yeah, they could. I think they'll still make the playoffs, but I don't think
Kid,
Utah's pretty deep. Portland's pretty deep. Memphis is gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be a good West. On the East side, this one we had a little bit more trouble talking about. Top
Yeah.
3 teams in the East. If I
Milwaukee.
had to say it today, Milwaukee. We didn't even talk about Milwaukee.
Yeah, the
Milwaukee's
Bucks.
number 1.
Milwaukee, I think, is a 2 seed. The Sixers are probably the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons got to take an extra step this year.
Yeah, he
Maybe
does.
start shooting threes or something. And then,
Well, they ain't got no outside perimeter. They got rid of JJ, right?
yeah, JJ
Went to
Redick's gone.
Pelicans.
He's on the Pelicans. So, man, I don't.
They were making
That 3rd seed, I don't know. Celtics, Sixers, and
76ers.
Bucks. I mean, you could argue not Atlanta, but I don't know. Like, there's going to be a sleeper team from the East this year. That's really what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Miami could make a run with Jimmy Butler, although I don't see that happening.
Mm-mm.
I thought Westbrook
He's getting
was gonna go
injured
there.
for sure.
I did too. He didn't.
But no.
You think he's getting injured? Damn, you would say that, bro?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
You guys have any more questions, man? You're on the show. Like, you guys have done a great job so far. It's been an hour. You guys didn't think we would talk for an hour. You really think it's
no.
been an hour? It's been
I
flying.
feel like it was at least 40 minutes.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
What's up?
What's it like doing this every week?
It's fun, man. I remember, like, when I first started doing journalism, I was like, I'm never doing radio. I'm never gonna I'm not comfortable with that. Just like you guys said, like this last week, right? You were saying there's no way that I'll be able to ever do radio. And here I am. I do it every single day every Monday since
I bet
February.
it gets easier and easier.
It definitely gets easier now. Like, first started. I mean, you heard our first episode earlier today, right? Like,
Yeah.
welcome into the Game 7 show.
Can you hear it, right?
Right, you couldn't hear anything, so it gets easier with time, and I think that's how it goes with everything. But, and it also depends on who you're with, different things like that. IG's been a great partner. You guys have been great when you've been in here.
Just have
So
to be comfortable.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really what it is, and we've had a great opportunity with Met Radio being able to get in here. I never thought I would be able to even be with the Met team, the Met Media. Now
Yeah.
I'm a sports editor, and I
Everything now.
do everything. So it's been fun. I'm glad you guys were able to come on. Hopefully we get to do it again because you guys seem like you had a little bit of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun.
This is
For
fun.
the first time doing a
Get to
podcast.
do a podcast, and it was easy,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, once you get-
conversational.
Yeah.
It's really all it is, and like we were pretty I mean, you could go any different direction. Like, you can be super conversational. You can be super strict.
Just pretty much
like,
chill on the couch talking to your boys, but just with the mic.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That
literally shoot it right here on this couch.
exactly. That's really what it is, and I think that's what's coolest. It's like, I'm never gonna be a podcaster. I'm never gonna do this. And I think one of the things I've learned this semester is never say no to anything that comes up. And I think that's important for like Luis going into your first semester of, or I guess second semester of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm just going to go to school and work for 4 years, and then I'll figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get involved in anything, and it really just kind of worked out. Not like I got involved in, like, chess club or something like that, but maybe that's your thing. But really just being comfortable, and I've definitely become more comfortable. I remember the first few episodes, I was so uncomfortable in here. I was like, oh, crap, is someone going to say I'm doing something wrong or something? I was scared to open that door. I was like, Isaac, open the door. Now I come in here, what's up, everybody? I know everybody, and it's been a really cool thing. So, and there's so many other opportunities here, right? So,
Always.
you know, they have the TV here that runs 24/7, and the Metropolitan. They have a new a magazine, the Metrosphere, that's like a culture magazine. Not my style, but you know, who knows?
Yeah,
so
the Tiv's a good.
The Tiv's a good little spot, man.
Yeah,
they got
the
some good
atmosphere
burgers. They got
everything in here.
Everything
Little
in
gig.
here. There's about 3 weeks out until semester. I think that'll be season 3 for Game 7.
You guys,
Lisa, man, if you're interested now that you're on campus, like, you can hop on and put together
Whenever.
your own little podcast, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's your own little thing. So, you know, it's been interesting because, like, it's just fun to do this in general. I never thought I'd have, like, friends come to me like, dude, your podcast is sick. And I'm like, really? I felt like I was just, like, rambling random shit into a mic, and nobody listens to it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, no, I listen to everything you post. I'm like, really? So it's cool to see stuff like that, and it's just a lot of fun. It's also very relieving is the other thing. Like, I mean, I could just talk. And, like, we talked about everything today. Like, maybe we needed to talk about what's going on, I don't know, at the White House. If we needed to talk about that, like, I could get that off my chest. Like, that, it's like a counseling or a culture thing. I don't even know how to describe it. So I think the coolest thing has been, like, being able to do, like, music and stuff too. Like, I can choose any song I want. I get to be a little DJ in here. Producing has been pretty cool. That's why I'm always like, I need this side. I need to be the producer, even though we're supposed to shake it out. But we got some good stuff going. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'll wrap up here. I appreciate you coming on.
I think we're good.
Why are you a bot at Fortnite?
I'm better than you. Yeah, I'm the best
I
Fortnite player.
I get my games here and there.
He gets like 4 kills every once in a while.
Yeah, yesterday
6.
was trash.
Yeah, we weren't really. I mean, we were playing 3-on-4, so
Yeah, it's
but
always
we
like
are
that.
some pretty good Fortnite players. Maybe we'll create a team, the Game 7 Fortnite professional team. At Isaac. Isaac's not very good. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this. Maybe he'll listen. I wonder if he's even gonna listen.
Probably is.
You know, maybe not. I don't know.
When he is co-host, so yeah, he's gonna check it out.
Right, but like, is he really gonna sit
be like,
down?
what
He
did they
does
talk
say
about
that he
today?
listens to it. I'm able to listen to like the first half, but then it's like I don't really want to listen to myself say stuff that I already think. Right? It's not like I come in here and just yell random things.
Yeah.
It's like I already know what I'm thinking. That's why it's cool to listen to other people's podcasts, because you get to like hear like what are their thoughts and different things like that. So that's pretty cool. If you have thoughts or anything like that about sports or anything, send us an email at game7show@gmail.com. We never get emails. That's totally okay. If you feel like you want to be the first one to send an email, maybe one of you guys want to send an email over to the crew. Let us know what's going on. I mean, we have the ability to Skype in, Facebook Live, phone call, stuff. Like, we have that availability. Isaac just wasn't able in New York. He was like touring like an alien museum or something, Area 51.
It's easy to do this.
Yeah, it's much easier to do this, but if
More
I could
fun.
have him right here talking, I mean, it would have been smooth, just as smooth.
I could have been a good topic to talk about. Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, what's
That's
going down, alien?
That's for next week, guys.
Alien
That's
51.
next week. You gotta have your own show for
All
that
right,
one.
all right.
That's a very interesting. I'm interested to see how that comes to fruition in September, if people are actually gonna charge in Area 51.
Yeah.
I mean, is the Air Force really gonna shoot down their people if 500 people come running into the date? Like,
More than 500.
That's like
500,000.
3,000.
exactly. I mean, it's over 1 million in people that say they're gonna go, but most of the people are like, yeah, I just said I was gonna go, so I could be cool.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. Thank you again, Matt Radio, for hosting us as always. We're on SoundCloud now. Eventually, we'll be on Apple Podcast if they ever decide to get back to me. Mixcloud, just about everything you could think of. So we're on the podcast in You can see us on YouTube. It's Game 7 on YouTube, so you can check that out, watch the video, get to see me in a nice polo, see these guys. They matched. I think they planned that one. Tommy Jeans and Ole Miss Baseball. I like Luis's shirt, man. I might have to cop. I love Ole Miss Baseball, man. Mike Bianco and what they do with like the season. If you ever watch their YouTube videos, you should look up the season.
Well, I'm not really a big fan. My girlfriend got it for me.
Still,
SEC
bro.
baseball is a different thing.
SEC baseball, like if you guys are just general baseball fans, like
you'll enjoy it.
You'll enjoy the season. So that's definitely something to check out. At _Game7 on Twitter, at Will Satler on Twitter, at Isaac _Bugarin on Twitter, at David V. Vigil on. Oh, there's an underscore in there.
My bad.
At Luis Olivas 22.
Yeah.
Is there an underscore in there?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. It's all the same tags. We need more Instagram followers so we can post more cute pictures. So follow us. We'll be back next week, episode 10 next week. Monday, as always, as we get closer and closer to the spring semester or fall semester. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Go to the shelter, save the dogs.
You.
Thank you coming
Thanks
in,
for
guys.
having us.
We will see you next week.
Check it
Fun
out.
time.